Why, hello there, my fellow utility workers. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Oxygen Not Included Aquatic, Episode 4, Constructing Water Filtration. So we've got Avalka making a lot of progress trying to build this bathroom up, getting the plumbing going, and then the research for a liquid reservoir is nearly done. So let's identify what is next. I'm going to say water sieves are probably the next thing I want for that. And I do also recognize that we have a lot of polluted oxygen now, so deodorizer wouldn't be a bad call either. I think I'm going to go with deodorizer first to solve the polluted oxygen so that we get rid of the yucky lungs, because until I find chlorine, I don't really need a water sieve, because we can turn polluted water back into water, but it's still going to be germy. And if it's still germy, we're not necessarily going to want to drink it, swim in it, cook with it, etc. Which at the moment is how we're handling it. So I'll do the deodorizer research next. So the plan is, what is this, oxygen? The plan is to put like a chlorine room somewhere in here, behind our setups, and then to probably liquid lock it using the mucin coming off of these slogos. So we'll mop up the slogo, mucin, liquid lock a little chlorine room, and call that good. Vodka's nearly done with the operation build the bathroom, and then once we have access to the liquid reservoir, I can actually start running it, because as soon as I have a place to put all the polluted water, we can run it and just have like a giant reservoir of polluted water to be filtered at a later date. But if I do that, I'm going to want the polluted water in a room that can be chlorinated at some point, which involves a little bit of extra construction once that's unlocked. Well, yeah, at least the oxyfern's doing something. Not a whole lot, but something. Okay, I'm gonna run the cables through the walls. Cabling and stuff like that is, like, ugly. So for decor reasons, and obviously I don't have a lot of decor right now, but for decor reasons, I want to like hide it, if at all possible. So what are we waiting on for the last of the... Waiting on a water delivery. I'm going to raise this up to 7, so that Rayvac does it above 6s. Because Rayvac right now is helping to construct, which is like... wrong. Here we go. Yeah, we need a little bit more water than that. Printables. Muckroot. Sure, why not? Wow. Look at how many negatives you have. Holy moly. Okay, improved plumbing research is done. So with the improved plumbing research, let's plan out our chlorine room. I have to be cautious about the sand here, because this sand will collapse on me. It's a gravity block, if you will. So our chlorine room could be something like this. Where we have room for 2 liquid reservoirs. And a liquid lock. Now, this liquid lock is like old school style liquid lock. It's larger than you really need. When you're dealing with mucin, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. And I think what I'm going to do is move it over like that. So we have a bottle emptier that will empty mucin in this void here. I actually want it a little bit wider in this section. Shoot, because of sand. I'm gonna replace this, and then I can build this out. I'll have to replace that first, because that will drop. Okay. So, yeah, there we go. Get this built. Can I shift it over one more to the left? I could, if I go the inverse. Like, I know what you're saying. If I go, like this, and that would work. Maybe that's even better, more elegant. I would agree. And again, the mucin's like really easy to liquid lock, because it's such a flexible replacement for Visca gel. All right. So what I wanted to do here, I'm gonna make a really, for lack of a better term, janky one. I don't yet have a gas pump, but we're going to want a gas pump for this setup. But we'll have liquid storage, and then a gas pump. And the reason for the gas pump is eventually we're going to want to pump out all of the whatever gas is in here and replace it with bleach stone. Which means we're going to have a storage bin for bleach stone there. And then once I get bleach stone, we can outgas it. Pump all the gas out and make it a proper bleach room. So this will do. In order to get this built, let's start from the top down. How does chlorine work? Just wait and see. The other thing is, if we're going to dump polluted water here, we're going to want to sweep that up so it doesn't get dunked into polluted water. That's going to make whatever tiles it touch gross. Alright, so taking a look at the research. We're going to want to go for deodorizer, and that's also going to give me gas pump, which allows me to, like, set this up as a chlorine room. Looking around... That's brine. I'm seeing if there's any, like, revealed bleach stone yet anywhere we've gone. Not yet. Okay. That's fine. We'll just keep exploring. May also want... I'm going to replace this wall here. Because I'm thinking I might want a little bit more space over here for... Yeah, I'm going to want to build that too. Alright, ventilation. That was fast. And that gives us a gas pump, which allows us to pump out the gases we don't want in here. Out. convoluted path, but, you know, whatever. It's fine by me. I'm not going to plug it in just yet. The other thing we're going to want for all of this is automation wires and signal switches. And in order for me to get that, I'm going to need a means to be able to manufacture that stuff, which I don't yet have. I don't have a rock crusher. So let's just drop a rock crusher here next to our printing pod. One of the reasons to do that is illuminated environments make for quicker work, and rock crusher is a labor-intensive work, so it'll help to speed that up. So this here is a weird addition of like a holding tank. Let me cancel that. I intend for my water filtration to be kind of manual rather than automatic. I'll consider making it automatic if I want in the future, but not version 1.0. Which means all of the polluted water will go to this holding tank, and then the holding tank will then lead to the rest via a liquid shutoff. So I can filter water in batches. And I'm just going to control that manually. With a low colony population, I don't really need an automatic solution. It's a bit overkill. And then the only thing that is missing here, which I'm going to want to add, is at some point a sieve. So that we de-germ it, and then we sieve it back into normal water that gets dumped here. But I could have the sieve... The sieve should be behind sinks, but I'll figure out where to put the sieve in this configuration later on. Like, it could go here if I get rid of those sluggos, which I'll probably just end up doing. Kill the sluggos and stick the sieve somewhere around here. So we're about to get pressure management, and then we'll get decontam. Good. Good, good, good. And very likely this is like the bathroom, all of the bathroom that I will kind of ever need for this run, unless my population becomes enormous. So this is definitely one of those situations where it's a very long-term solution, possibly a forever solution, which is why it's just taking me a lot more time to build it. And let's prioritize this over the 5s. Because I don't need to do the 5s right now. Looking at the entire colony, there is some pockets of polluted oxygen that will, like, decontaminate once we don't let polluted water sit out in the open. So I know that that will be a problem that will get solved in time. Without us really having to do very much about it. And then this rock crusher, I'm going to crush... Let's batch a thing of 10 zinc ore to zinc. So this is like a poor man's metal refinery, where we're just like crushing it into proper metals rather than ores. And I'm doing that because I'm not able to make automation wires or liquid shutoffs and stuff like that without refined metals. as you can see, refined metal is a requirement. So I'm going to want some automation here, you know, to make this more efficient. And that's what that's for. Skill point. Super hard digging. Let's give you the hat. And then Rayvac. I don't need astronomy right now, so I'm going to go with improved tinkering for better machinery. Working towards mechatronic engineer. Because better tinkering also means like faster manual generator. And other material processing. And we earned to pay the bills, maxing out a branch. Because we maxed out the digging branch. And morale is like 18, 16, 15 out of 3, 6, and 4. So, yeah, morale is fine. K-Cals look to be mostly... I mean, if we take a look at the cycle reports, like colony summary for calorie generation, we're basically producing enough food, more or less, for 3 people. It's why I haven't added to our population. If I found the right dupe, if there was like a amazing dupe with like great positives and no negatives, I would consider adding another one and just like putting in some more farms. Wouldn't be a big deal. You know, one more cot and, you know, one more seat here. I have the room and capacity for a 4th. I just haven't seen the right one yet. My personal preference is a dupe that, dupes that have like 3 skills, 3 personal interests, and personal interests that overlap. So like suit wearing plus digging is nice, or like building plus suit wearing, or research, you know, like overlapping skills that work for one another. And then some skills are just more important than others. Doctoring and attack, for instance, are like, who cares? You almost never have to doctor anyone unless you're like super screwing up. So some skills I don't really care for, even if they have 3 of them. So the actual bathroom is kind of done, apart from the massive amount of like excavated stuff on the ground. But we have a lot more of the sort of backup infrastructure to add to this before it's really ready. Ooh. Some coffee grounds in my coffee. I love eating my coffee. There we go. This liquid reservoir, hypothetically, as soon as it's plumbed up, is all I really need in order to get the actual sink going. Or bathroom, rather, going. Because I need somewhere to hold the polluted water. So that might be enough. But I would like to have the other tanks as well. Circulating water. Printables. So doctoring, tiding, farming, and yeah, okay. Let's go with Pearl. Pearl's really nice, only because that is a glassy material that allows us access to the wide hydroponic farms or the wall planters. Of course, each one of these large planters here requires 100 glassy, so I really only have enough pearl for 3 of them. But 3 of them is enough to make 450 grams of oxygen a day, if I need, which is quite a lot. That's 4.5 duplicates, given standard oxygen intake. Unless you're a mouth breather or diver lungs or deep diver lungs. I mean, there's traits that change how much oxygen they require, but generally for about 4 dupes. So we've not done any material processing just yet, and I'll prioritize that against other tasks if it gets ignored for too much longer. Looking at some of the overlays. Not doing a very good job of decor, but it hasn't really been a priority, so who cares? Plus, no one's had a stress response, and my stress has been at 0. I don't think it's climbed above 0% this entire time, so... It might go up if we, like, slip, have yucky lungs, get hurt all at once, and irritated eyes if we have a chlorine room or something like that. But, like, the likelihood of it really being a problem is really low. Especially early on. Now it is, the game is low-key screaming at me that I have low kcals. So I think what I'll do is prioritize this up to 7, and the reason for that is it gives us access to 3 more wild soda cane, and then there's all the mussels that I haven't dug up, which has been like emergency food up until now, which I could dig up if I'm hard pressed for calories. But I don't think I am. I think we'll be all right. All right, decontamination just got done. Decontamination gives us carbon skimming, which one of the things that you're going to want to have is polluted water processing before you get a carbon skimmer, because essentially the way a carbon skimmer goes is it uses fresh water, it removes carbon from the environment to produce polluted water. So now that we have deodorizer, let's go back and go get water sieve to turn polluted water back into regular water using sand. And then maybe set up some carbon skimming. Or some carbon skimming, some deodorizing around the base. Just to help out with the polluted oxygen that has been allowed to build up. So add a few deodorizers, and I'm not going to make a huge effort to deodorize everything until we actually have a polluted water management infrastructure, because I'm just going to add back to it. All I'm trying to do right now is to try to not make the problem worse. I'm not really actively trying to make the problem better, if that makes sense. Oh, you know what? Because of the carbon dioxide pit here, that is not where we want a deodorizer. Because carbon dioxide is heavier than polluted oxygen. So we're going to want it like there. There we go. Particularly the gas overlay. Actually, it'll be easier to go like this. The dark greens are the polluted oxygen. The black is carbon dioxide, and the bright blue is regular oxygen. So you can see we have a cloud of polluted oxygen here and like little pockets of it, mostly around the outhouse, but some of it has like floated around. Not a big deal. Just trying to work out a future system to deal with it. Skill point. let's go with ranching 1. Now, some of this is like, I have food decaying, but this isn't necessarily meat that, like, I had intended to... Like, I didn't hunt this stuff. These are just, like, sluggos that just died on their own. So I'm not too worried about the random meat decay warnings that have been offered, because they're not a consequence of anything that I was doing. It's just the natural environment entropy. Oh, out of order. I don't like that. Let's get that toilet back in order. It is set to a 7. We take a look at all the priorities. Almost everything is a 5, except for that, like, toilet, the algae, the oxygen diffuser, and the research. Even the research could be 6s. So yeah, it's getting back in order now. Now the physical distance... Why are you getting still... I guess that's the closest Stiltson. The physical distance to this project is making it kind of slow. Because Ivalka's having to do a lot of running. Basically, it's a long commute. There's not a ton I could do about that. I'm just going to have to live with it. But she's having to run all over the place to source material for this. Which is, you know, ultimately unfortunate. Whoop, slipped. And added a little bit of stress. So this is what I was referring to as stress. It's only really going to climb up if, like, we have yucky lungs and we slip. And there's some things, you know, if we had rubber boots, we would be slip-proof. Rubber boots plus swimsuit also means that you don't slip and then you don't have soggy clothing. And that's going to be pretty ideal in the long run once we start vulcanizing the latex that we get from the gum palms. So that everyone has clothing that protects them from the negative mood modifiers of the environment. Why are you grabbing that? You know what? I think what I'm going to do is have these be sweep only. So that we're not trying to tidy up stuff I don't care about. I don't really... So I get asked every now and then, like, what is my favorite series or whatever. I just don't think of my own content in that way, so I never have favorites. It's a cop-out of an answer, but I really don't. I have memorable ones, but I wouldn't say they're like favorite. Favorite kind of means something else to me. Just so this stuff isn't like dumped on with mucin, I'm going to sweep this up as a higher priority. And then sweep this up as a higher priority. And then I can start managing my polluted water once the plumbing is done here too. Have we done any rock crushing? No, we haven't. Okay. So this storage bin is going to be a sweep only for sublimators, which we don't have any sublimators yet. I never actually excavated any oxalite, and we haven't found any bleachstone. I'm just taking a quick look again. So there's nothing for me to even put in that crate yet, but eventually that's going to be bleachstone. Though I bet there might be bleachstone over here. Would not surprise me if there's some that way. Kcals are pretty low. I may need to think about adding another farm strip before going too much farther so we don't hit 0. Because I can, as a stopgap, I could do the mussel sprouts and things like that. But it seems like I'm going to need more sooner than later. So I don't want to derail the progress being made for the plumbing project, but I might need to anyway. So we're getting some of the mission critical plumbing pipes in. And Avalka's having to go far and wide for the siltstone. One of the things you can do in this game is to use local materials. So like I could be using the coquina instead. I just haven't been. It serves a purpose for Starnacle for oxygen production, the coquina. Not that we're going to ever run out of it, not likely. But but in order to produce oxygen in this, you kind of want to feed coquina to the Starnacles. The Starnacles produce phosphite for the beacons, and the beacons produce light for the flue corals, and the flue corals produce oxygen for your consumption. And the materials that go into that, I kind of want to leave alone. Because as soon as I start dipping into those materials, we're working against it. I might not queue up any research right now because I'm not working on the tidal power. But once we go back to power, I'll probably do sound amplifiers and advanced power regulation to get power transformers and smart batteries. But I'm gonna have my researcher start working on construction projects instead to try to speed things up, because there isn't any research required for completing any of my current projects. And I'll get the deodorizers up too as a even higher priority so that we just fix it. Oh, here's a polluted mud biome. So we've got thimble reeds, we've got polluted mud. Polluted mud gets separated in the sludge press into polluted dirt and polluted water. Or you can just feed it to a sage if you want. And its polluted oxygen emissions is blocked as a result of being, like, soil and water locked. But yeah, that's a new biome right there. Not one that's gonna have materials I need in the short term, but useful to know that it's out there. Alright, so Rayvac is now helping to deliver the siltstone for the carbon dioxide room. And that should roughly double the speed at which we're making progress there. Well, I wasn't planning on this, but if I'm given hatch eggs, I might as well just smash them. So that I can have a little bit extra food, because I don't want hatches. I want, the sort of the underlying goal of this series is to try to do everything using aquatic, more or less, not perfect. I mean, obviously a chlorine room isn't exactly aquatic, but there's, you know, it is a material in the aquatic biomes. So yeah, the goal is to try to solve things using the Aquatic Planet Pack DLC stuff. Meaning that hatches that aren't native to the aquatics, I wouldn't use unless I'm, like, desperate. But yeah, I'm being warned about my desperately low kick house. So, given that, let's just do this. A temporary farm here. To just boost our food up a bit. And I'll set this as an 8. And then the egg cracker will crack 3 hatch eggs. I could also crack that pokey shell row. Because I don't necessarily want another pokey shell trying to murder me up there. On this storage bin, I'm going to reduce its... so right now, it has 7,500 kilograms of salt in it. So I'm going to reduce its total capacity a little bit so that I can split the salt between another storage bin over here. So I have two storage bins, both for salt, because they're going to be physically separated from one another. All right, this is now a sweep-only polluted water. And let's start moving the polluted water there. And this is going to be like a 9 priority, which is ridiculously high. I think my liquid pump is hooked up, which means we can stop having polluted water outgas, which is important. Now, for polluted dirt, I don't have a storage solution for the polluted dirt yet, and I could have one. I just need to find a place to build a polluted dirt storage. Like, I could put polluted dirt storage here, but it's kind of far away. So it makes more sense to have a submerged tile somewhere over here in the, like, plumbing setup that I can put polluted dirt in. And I haven't built one yet here, but it's something I probably ought to do. So that we can store polluted dirt as well, so it doesn't have the same effect as polluted water. There we go. We should... Oh, no. I thought we were delivering polluted water, but I was wrong. And I'll set the egg cracker to 9, because I know I don't have a lot of food. So we'll crack those triple hatch eggs. All right, now the roof is built. We can start excavating below it and build more of the bleach room. Now, some of the polluted water, like this stuff, won't necessarily outgas because it's, like, embedded or whatever, submerged around normal water, so it keeps it from outgassing. What I'm trying to do is just remove the, the polluted oxygen. But if we take a look at the polluted oxygen overlay, I guess there's some up here that is unaccounted for, but the big cloud here mostly got absorbed. And then, if I put a mesh tile here, it'll actually make it even better. Because oxygen will be able to drift into that from below, which is useful. So we're working on it. And these aren't outgassing right now because of overpressure. Basically, it's too high pressure gas around it for it to outgas. So the last major component of this is the water sieve, which turns polluted water back into normal water, and we're going to have to incorporate it somewhere in this build, but it can wait. And here we have a liquid reservoir that has germy polluted water. That got germy again, too. Germy polluted water ready to be chlorinated to be cleared. Oh, and the game's telling me I'm out of algae again. Alright, let's get more. I don't think we've done any of the... Yeah, we still haven't done any of the manual zinc... Oh, there we go! Rayback's doing it. I was about to say, we haven't done any of it, and then Rayback was like, punch! And proved me wrong. in the most timely fashion. So now that we're starting to get refined metals, I'm going to be able to do more of this build over here. So we're going to be able to get the liquid shutoff. The liquid shutoff is so that I can batch filter the water. So that when we want to make sure it's clean and run it through the chlorine filtration process, we can stop inputting germy water into the system. And then likewise, I'm going to want a signal switch for it and a signal switch for here as well, with automation wires to both once I have more refined metals, so that I can turn off this gas pump and then turn off this liquid shutoff without a duplicate having to flick a switch. You know, remote shutoffs. Because I don't want to have dupes required to like run around and flick switches on my whim. Plus, the refined metals are going to be required for tidal power, so I'm just getting ahead of what I need for the tidal power too. Plus a whole bunch of other things. Refined metals is one of those things you just need tons and tons of. Thank you for tuning in to Oxygen Not Included Aquatic, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comments below. I'm not, however, looking for feedback. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow duplicates.